top of the morning bay with Good Morning Bay.
Get to know about the traffic on your way and what's news around the world today.
Some wisdom skills along the way.
Oh, and a song to hum along with and sway.
Get your perfect entertaining start to the day.
At 9 a.m. every weekday morning with
Mahima's
Good Morning Bay.
Good morning, Bay. आप सभी लोगों की तरफ से एक प्यार भरा नमस्ते.
Namaskar.
Vanakkam.
Namaskara.
खुशामदीद.
Assalamu alaikum.
सत श्री अकाल.
మీకందరికి వందనము.
जय स्वामी नारायण.
जय श्री कृष्ण.
विजनेंद्र.
हमारे इस्माइली भाई बंधुओं को बोल दे या अली मदद.
मौला अली बदर बोलते हुए सारे फीजी बंदर को बोलेंगे नीसा बुला बदजान. हम आ गए हैं आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारा. मैं सब फालतू बाबा.
And of course, myself, Faltu Rani, लेकर आपके लिए एक और drive time show that's going to make it totally exciting and totally mastani band jaane.
And yes, Pranjal, let me tell you, आज day number 177 हो गया है. And तीन दिनों में will become like a whole 6 month of sheltering in place. Well, देखो भजन बाहर फिर भी मौसम खराब है. वैसे खराब, I'm talking about the fact that it's cloudy. It's supposed to be sunny, but it's cloudy, and cloud के साथ and also a lot of smoke in the air, Balajan.
Right.
And I have been first-hand witness to this particular incident of ashes falling from the sky.
Yeah.
In fact, my car actually had one layer of ash on it, Fatrani.
Yeah,
A
my
light,
God,
though it's
terrible.
fine layer of ash, there was grey ash. Check out weather. Please be mindful. Wear your mask. Good thing you're wearing mask. We got used to wearing mask anyways. So continue wearing the mask if you're going out, because I think it could also be a health hazard. But interestingly, no organizations come out and talked about this particular warning of ashes already. They do talk about smoke though. They do talk about smoke.
Yeah,
being
there's layer after layer, and I don't know what's going on. It's like really weird. It's a very orange sun that we're seeing.
that's because all the atmosphere has got the smoke in it. That's why it's got the orange sun. You have orange hue across the whole Bay Area actually.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that, but right now let's take a quick look at what's happening on the roads with Raste Ka Hal, Total Saste Mein Bandhujan, right here on your Good Morning Bay.
It's time for the Bandhu Traffic Update. Call us from wherever you are at 408-912-2479.
That's right, but if you don't miss out any kind of location where you are and you have facing an accident, and you just give us a call here, so your bandhus behind, or actually probably around 10-15 cars behind, you can take an alternate route if possible. Speaking about accidents and weather, we're talking about high winds on 580 westbound and eastbound between Vasco Road. Watch out for that. And also there is a report of on 101 northbound and southbound at Golden Gate Bridge. There's fog advisory in effect, so watch out for that, as the weather's kind of cloudy and kind of gloomy. And there's a traffic accident on 680 northbound south of Mission Boulevard in Fremont. Lanes are affected, but not so much as what generally would be. So of course, watch out, drive very carefully in the region. But of course, overall traffic situation, look at it, is the COVID situation, where there's not much of traffic on the roads. Many people actually working from home. Unfortunately, many people actually are not even working for the matter, but so prayers going out to all those people, and make sure they actually are able to pull through this particular tough time actually, Barajan. Now इसके बारे में और जानकारी आपको मिलेगा, but right now let's go quickly take a look at the news headlines, and probably we just go into the news directly. What do you think, Fatrani?
Yeah, sure, Alibaba.
Alright, Banjan, so if you want to catch up in detail about the news we share with you guys on air, it's very simple. Go to mediamahima.com and you can find the news stories right there with information of where we got the stories for you guys. We want to make sure that we are responsible in providing the right news for you guys. So we do a process of vetting the whole news item which comes up, Banjan, and we compile the news for you guys. Important thing which people keep in mind. And if at all you want to read up in detail about all the news items, we also provide you links over there on our news blog, mediamahima.com. And Abhi ke liye, Baljan, this is what's going off as headlines today.
I'm sorry, my computer is refusing to load Alibaba, so I'm trying to get the news headlines together.
And of course, Baljan, not only the weather, even the lot of Ashes in the cloud, and we actually get explanation about cloud, right? So cloud actually is kind of is kind of cloudy and also smoky, I suppose. So probably we get that information for you guys in a bit. But Jan, lekin bol dein ki if at all you actually are listening to us right now, you're probably listening to us on your radio network, which is actually right now locally over here. It is on Radio Mirchi 1310 AM. If you want to read up about if you want to catch us anywhere you go in the world, all you got to do is just download the app, which is called Radio Day177. It's available for free download on iOS and also on the Android platform. So if you want to take a quick look at the headlines, let me quickly tell you, Jan, there actually is Trump is admitting to concealing the true threat of coronavirus in a new Woodward book. It's something it's called Play It Down. And then there also is something about Trump's ex-lawyer Cohen, who was linking Falwell's endorsement in 2016 to suppression of racy photographs. So there's a lot of stuff coming up in that region. We'll talk about in the news in detail for you guys. And of course, Portland police have arrested 11 after the overnight protests again. And news about the campaign trail of Biden to offer plan to fight offshoring in key battleground of Michigan. We'll see how that turns out. Though the weather is this way, there's going to be a new way of campaigning, I suppose, political campaigning going on. We'll talk about that for sure. FDA has authorized emergency use of COVID-19 tests from the Alphabet's
Verily.
Verily.
That's the name of the company. Remember they were doing the COVID-19 test?
Yeah, Alphabet is the Google thing, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Apple is seeking damages from the Fortnite creator in the App Store dispute. Will expose you, Kangna Ranaut tells Uddhav Thackeray as well as Karan Johar after the BMC action. We'll talk a little bit about that and how now there is, I think, a stay order on the demolition of her home as well. Apparently, they were going to demolish her home too.
Oh, wow.
Indian and Chinese troops man remote border outposts just hundreds of meters apart. Again, it's a very tense situation in that place, and you can get more information. Riya Chakraborty has sought bail, saying offense is bailable and that there is a threat to her life in jail. Also, some news about COVID-19. COVID-19 deaths in the United States surpass 190,000. Iowa and South Dakota emerge as new hotspots. A top Senate Democrat is saying that there's a good chance that the coronavirus aid bill will pass, and Tesla loses more than combined General Motors and Ford market value. So you can get detailed the news stories and all of this on MediaMahima.com. But right now, is it time for us to be going into our Gane Ka Kida, Altu Baba?
Sure, we're going to Gane Kida, but then of course we'll go to the news in detail in just a few. But separately, we have to go to a Gane Ka Kida, which we will play for you guys today, Baljan. And of course, being a Wednesday, we will see if we can get a nice song for you guys, which is all about. But you know what? Today actually happens to be somebody's birthday actually, not anniversary.
It's Akshay Kumar's birthday today.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think we should play Akshay Kumar's song. What do you think?
Sure, why not?
What is a song of Akshay Kumar you totally love, Husband?
There's a lot of songs that I like of his. Trying to think, what is a motivational song?
I don't know about motivational song. How about a nice fun song?
Fun song? Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay.
Please don't play Bala Bala.
It is not Bala Bala. Bala Bala is not a fun song, by the way. Bala Bala is kind of a song.
Yeah.
And this song actually, but I'm taking it from the movie Airlift for you guys. And if you haven't seen the movie, it's a good movie. Talking about the, the person. It's based on a true story actually, but not like a biopic. It actually is just based on true story. They've actually done a lot of embellishing in terms of the personality of the person and all that stuff, right? They had to make it seem like Akshay Kumar's cool on screen. But Akiba ji, aapke liye happy birthday to you. I wish you a very, very happy birthday. This is a song sung by Ankit Tiwari and Arjit Singh Manjan. Music is by Ankit Tiwari. The song, of course, you would know the song. It's called Dil Cheez Tujhe De Di, De Di, De Di.
दिल मुझको फरेबी बातों ने दिल में डूबा डूबा मुझको अरेबिक आंखों में आज लूटा लूटा मुझको फरेबी बातों ने दिल में डूबा डूबा मुझको अरेबिक आंखों में आज लूटा लूटा मुझको फरेबी बातों ने खामखा सीने में प्यार के महीने में एक ही इशारे पे दिल चीज तुझे दे दी दे दी दे दी दे चीज दे दी दे दी दे दी दे दी दिल चीज तुझे दे दी.
And from the movie Ad-Lib Banjan, this particular song, I think it's not easy for me to play a song, it's just a fun song, and I think this particular movie, Akshay Kumar has done a very nice, subtle, role.
Huh.
It's not like over the board, but he had to do, I think they make him do this kind of songs, I suppose. Yeah, right? It was not needed actually. But movie is nice, it's called Airlift. And again, I told you, music by Ankit Tiwari, lyrics by Kumar, and nice music also. It's kind of got an Arabic flavor to it, like, the Middle Eastern flavor
It
to it.
sounds like a Arabic song.
Yeah, it does. Probably because inspired from one of the tunes of Arabic songs.
है तू वल्लाह वल्लाह अदाए वल्लाह वल्लाह बड़ी ही सख्त है तू हबीबी मस्त है तू बार बार जो देखा दो दफा ना सोचा एक ही इशारे पे दिल चीज तुझे दे दी 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 दिल चीज तुझे दे दी
And that was a Gani Akira for you guys, Banjan. हाँ जाते जाते उसको फिर से लगाएंगे Banjan. Lekin quickly go see what's happening with the news for you guys. The news in detail based on the headlines we share with you guys just a few minutes ago, Banjan. Let's see, Fadrani, what's the... do you have any updates on coronavirus?
Yes, I do.
Why don't we start with that? What's happening there? Do we have a vaccine at all?
Well, everybody's being very, very careful with regard to the vaccine right now. Let me give you the update on that. Hold on. So, basically, the US COVID-19 deaths, they surpassed 119,000. As I mentioned before, that, South Dakota has emerged as a new hotspot right now, and so has Iowa. What is happening is, at this point, Iowa currently has one of the highest rates of infection in the nation, with 15% of the tests last week coming back positive. Nearby, even South Dakota has a positive test rate of 19%, and North Dakota is at 18%, according to a Reuters analysis. The surge is being linked to colleges reopening in Iowa and the annual motorcycle rally in Sturgis, remember? That happened in South Dakota as well. That's part of the reason why there is such a high positive test rate. Other states are Kansas, Idaho, Missouri. They're also among the top 10 states for positive test rates. There is a map that we can share with you right now, Banijan, which highlights what the test rates are and how many deaths in each of these areas. And also on a per capita basis, the United States ranks 12th in the world for the number of deaths, with 58 deaths per 100,000 people, and the 11th in the world for cases, with 1,933 cases per 100,000 residents, according to a Reuters analysis. Our confirmed cases are the highest in the world, with now over 6.3 million, followed by India. India is now in second place with 4.4 million cases, and Brazil is at 4.2 million cases. Our death toll is also the highest in the world at this particular point. Let's go on over and talk a little bit about the breaking news that we got just as we were getting into the show. President Donald Trump admitted he knew weeks before the first confirmed coronavirus death that the virus was dangerous, airborne, highly contagious, and more deadly than even your strenuous flu, and that he reportedly played it down publicly, according to legendary journalist Bob Woodward in his new book, Rage. This is deadly stuff, Trump told Woodward on February 7th. In a series of interviews with Woodward, Trump revealed that he had a surprising level of detail about the threat of the virus earlier than previously shown. Pretty amazing, Trump told Woodward, adding that the coronavirus may be 5 times, quote, more deadly than the flu, unquote. The Trump's admissions are in stark contrast to his frequent public comments at the time, insisting that the virus was going to disappear and all will work out fine. The book, using Trump's own words, depicts a president who has betrayed the public trust and has the most fundamental responsibilities of his office also totally at this particular point at risk. And in Rage, Trump says the job of a president is to, quote, keep our country safe, unquote. But in early February, Trump told Woodward he knew how deadly the virus was, and in March admitted that he kept the knowledge hidden from the public. So,
well, come on, I think again, media is giving you a tough time. Many times, presidents of big nations or nation leaders, they try not to panic, spread panic in people.
oh really?
Unless it's about race and everything,
Oh really?
and about elections.
Oh, what else? Voter fraud?
I guess so. Fuck, what is
Anyway,
this?
well, Badajad,
you're just
he's
talking
being
about-
sarcastic.
Yeah,
He's
whatever.
being sarcastic.
Ha,
Please
let's make
understand.
America great again. I got a grater at home.
Oh, really?
Probably great cheese.
Yeah.
was.
Anyway, speaking of Trump and his several different things that he's up to, well, he is the president of the country, so who else will we talk
he's
about?
not up. Please, Banuja, please don't believe what the media tells you. Liberal media always keeps embellishing truth. He's only one thing
Reuters
he's up
is
to.
not liberal media.
He's up to only one thing, Falguni.
What?
That's called no good.
No good, yes. In his book released yesterday, Michael Cohen, the former fixer for US President Donald Trump, ties for the first time the 2016 presidential endorsement of Trump by American evangelical leader Jerry Falwell Jr. to Cohen's own role in helping to keep racy personal photographs of the Falwells from becoming public. As Reuters reported last year, the Falwells enlisted Cohen to keep, quote, a bunch of photographs, personal photographs, unquote, from becoming public, Cohen said in a recording made surreptitiously by comedian Tom Arnold. I actually have one of the photos, he said, without going into specifics, and he said it's terrible. In his memoir called Disloyal, the Memoir, Cohen describes thinking that his involvement in the Falwell photo matter would be a catch and kill, the practice of American tabloids to obtain and then suppress unfavorable stories about celebrities. But in this case, it was just going to be kill.
Hey, yeah, whatever happened? That thing wasn't that the whole thing about catch and kill a big issue? And
Yeah.
how did they go under the rug suddenly? I don't understand.
Yeah, because Trump countersued, right, with what's her name, Stormy Daniels, for breaking her non-disclosure agreement. So,
Even
and she
her
lost the
attorney,
case.
her attorney went to jail also, right?
That's this guy, right?
Her attorney.
Her attorney, yeah, exactly.
Oh
So,
my God! See, you take on the president's gonna come after you.
no, her attorney didn't go to jail. Wasn't it this guy who went to jail?
No, her attorney also got in trouble afterwards, right? They
Oh.
made sure they give him a hard time. Trump is not going. When he can hire a Obama, what is this Trump attorney? What is the name? What's
Okay.
it? Swami Daniels attorney. What is he?
I-
Yeah.
Anyway, Banajan, let's tell you with regard to the Black Lives Matter movement, police have arrested 11 more people in Portland as protests continue to take place after 100 days of demonstrations in the Oregon city against racism and police brutality. Tuesday night, a group gathering at the site of the Saturday market and marched in the street to the area of the Transit Police Department offices, the police said in a statement. Let's tell you a little bit about what Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden is doing. He's going to be visiting the battleground state of Michigan today. Actually, not today. He's going to be visiting the battleground state of Michigan, and he is going to be outlining new proposals to tax companies that move U.S. jobs overseas and offer incentives for companies to invest in domestic operations. I beg your pardon. It is today. I'm totally losing track of time. Today is the 9th of September. So, yeah, he is going to Michigan today. Biden and his rival, President Donald Trump, are ramping up their campaign travel with only 8 weeks now before the November 3rd election. In a visit to the Detroit suburb of Warren, Biden will propose an offshoring tax penalty on profits from products made overseas and sold in the United States, according to a Biden advisor. Biden, who has already proposed raising the corporate tax from 21% to 28%, would impose a 30.8% rate on such profits. So you can actually go check out on MediaMahima.com what exactly he's proposing. He's even proposing a 10% tax credit for companies that reopen closed or closing facilities, bringing back offshore jobs or expanding manufacturing payroll, among other domestic investments. The FDA, as we mentioned, has granted an emergency use for the authorization of the COVID-19 test from Alphabet Inc. unit, Verily Life Sciences. They said that this is for testing in the company's laboratory and does not mean that the product is approved or cleared by the agency. The RT-PCR test is currently considered the gold standard of testing. Apple Inc. is filing a counterclaim against Fortnite creator Epic Games for asking for lost App Store fees and other damages and seeking an order to stop the game maker from operating its own in-app payment system. Apple and Epic have been in a legal battle since August, when the maker of the popular game launched its own in-app payment system to circumvent what it called Apple's monopolistic practices. Apple's App Store requires developers to use Apple's payment system and pay a 30% commission. Wow. Did you know that, Altubaba?
No, I didn't. Now I know. So should I be joining Apple by any chance?
Maybe you should, because what also app did was they blocked the updates to the software apparently, because they came up with this in-app system. So anyway, and they removed Fortnite completely. You'll get more information on that on MediaMahima.com. And in some live updates regarding the Kangana Ranaut and BMC altercation, Bollywood actor Kangana Ranaut landed in Mumbai from her home state Himachal Pradesh today amid protests by Shiv Sena workers at the airport over her remarks on Mumbai police. Sena workers with black flags were seen outside the airport shouting slogans against her, but she has said, "I will expose you." And she told Uddhav Thackeray and Karan Johar after the BMC decided to demolish her office. And the Bombay High Court is saying that the BMC's conduct was deplorable and smacks of malified, is what they're saying at this particular point. Fancy feminists, Bollywood activists, candle march groups, and award Vapsi gang has no comments on what the High Court said about the open murder of law and order in Maharashtra.
I have a very strong feeling she'll be suddenly in the cabinet of the Prime Minister.
I don't know.
I have a very strong feeling. She hasn't become cabinet and she'll be the next Prime Minister of India.
You never know.
Kangana Ranaut.
Yeah.
Himachali.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's also tweeting out that the High Court itself has declared that this is a clear case of bullying.
Okay,
Well,
she said it.
We'll bring you the
Sometimes
update.
it sounds like, Trump tweeting sometimes.
No, sometimes I feel the people who get these kind of retaliatory actions, nobody deserves that. They actually torn down. I don't know if you saw the videos. They tore down her office, with the bulldozers kind of thing. Everything has been demolished. It's really, really terrible.
Really?
Yeah, it's really bad. And some news from the LAC. Indian and Chinese troops are facing off on Wednesday, barely a few hundred meters apart in eastern Ladakh, where shots were fired for the first time in decades. Indian officials said the nuclear-armed neighbors have accused each other of firing in the air during a fresh flare-up in the Ladakh region on Monday, violating long-standing protocols to avoid using firearms along their undermarcated borders. I don't know what that means. What's undermarcated borders?
So something is marketed, it's within the line of control.
Oh, it must be undemarcated border.
Undemarcated,
That's it.
yes.
I read it wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, in the Riya Chakrabarti arrest, there is an update there. She has moved the special NDPS court seeking bail a day after she was arrested by the Narcotics Control Bureau on charges of allegedly arranging and financing consumption of marijuana by her boyfriend Sushant Singh Rajput with the help of her brother Shovik. Sushant's house help Samuel Miranda and cook Dipesh Savant also were involved.
Well, I think I have only one question.
Yeah.
Why are we making a big deal of this? Anyway, probably it's required to be a big deal.
Well, they're saying, she's saying right now in a fresh bail plea that her offences are actually bailable.
Did she give out? There was a rumor, there was a meme going on social media that she gave out names of 20 other people involved in this thing. Is it true? Was there any kind of
20 to 25 Bollywood celebrities under the scrutiny right now. But we'll get more information about that shortly. But her attorney has also filed a claim claiming that she was interrogated only by male officers and not by any female officer, and the constable or any female constable was present in the room. So you can get more about all this on mediamahima.com. That's all we have time for right now on Good Morning Bay. We will be cutting out to a conference, right, Altu Baba? Will we be able to get that on air? No. But what we'll do is, Banajan, we will leave you with some another iteration of the Ganika Kida, and more information will follow on our Radio Dehodi's app. Have yourselves a wonderful Wednesday. And for those of you who would like to know, we will be back with the Pam Pam Show tonight to celebrate one of the Bollywood actors' birthday. You'll get more information about that when you go to the Radio Dehodi's app. Download it. It's free. And also you can tune in at 5 p.m. right here on 1310 a.m. Have yourself a safe and shelter indoors today because of the air quality outside. And a wonderful Wednesday.
लूटा लूटा मुझको फरेबी बातों ने दिल में डूबा डूबा मुझको अरेबिक आंखों में आज लूटा लूटा मुझको फरेबी बातों ने दिल में डूबा डूबा मुझको अरेबिक आंखों में आज लूटा लूटा मुझको फरेबी बातों ने खामखा सीने में प्यार के महीने में एक ही इशारे पे दिल चीज तुझे दे दी दे दी दे दी दे चीज दे दी दे दी दे दी दे दी दिल चीज तुझे दे दी दे दी हाँ माशाल्लाह तारीफ है माशाल्लाह बड़ी कम वक्त है तू अभी भी मस्त है तू वल्लाह वल्लाह अदाए वल्लाह वल्लाह बड़ी ही सख्त है तू अभी भी मस्त है तू बार बार जो देखा दो दफा ना सोचा एक ही इशारे पे दिल चीज तुझे दे दी 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 दिल चीज तुझे दे दी 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 दिल चीज तुझे दे दी दे दी
guidance to possibly put
जर्रा
across all
जर्रा
sectors,
कहे ये
including
जर्रा
for
जर्रा
schools.
तेरी गुस्ताख आंखें करे बेबाक बातें.
And Bandajan, we will be cutting right now to go to a live webinar that's being organized by the State Superintendent of Public Education, being conducted by the California Department of Education with regard to the reopening of schools given the CDPH guidelines. This is a webinar that's being conducted for all schools and school superintendents and school leadership. So if you want to catch up on this, you can follow this on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Radio Dehadis. We will be cutting to it live right now.
Guidance around cohorts and small groups of students, especially for small group instruction, for example, for students with disabilities. And the second is the governor's blueprint for a safer economy, which really applies the reopening and sort of dimmer sort of conversation across all sectors, but also impacts schools as well, as many of you have experienced. And so we have with us Dr. Pan, who is our state epidemiologist and our acting state public health officer, to help answer some of the questions that folks have had. But before that, Dr. Pan, would you mind providing just a general sense of sort of the summary of the cohort guidance and the blueprint for a safer economy? And then we could hopefully reserve the balance of the time for questions from folks. Thank you.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you all as well for the service that you are providing our community. I just want to acknowledge some of the comments of Superintendent Thurman and of Mr. Cheetah around this is a challenging time for all of us, and I can speak to this as a parent as well as a public health official, really trying to balance all of the competing issues and priorities that we're all faced with every day during this unprecedented time. So I think the newest thing for this group is this new blueprint for a safer economy, and just wanted to give a little bit of background and context. As many of you know, we had what we used to call the county data monitoring list, and there was a list of counties that met certain criteria, and they were based on things like their case rates, their testing percent positivity. There were also some criteria in there at the time about the number of COVID patients hospitalized, the number of ventilators, personal protective equipment. There are a few different parameters, and the counties were either on this list or off this list. And when they were on, it meant that we were doing more engagement with them, trying to see what other containment and mitigation efforts needed to happen in those places. So what we found, and as we were thinking and also looking about lessons learned from, we did this first shelter in place in March. The community came together in an amazing way. We wanted to start to allow for things to reoccur then, but we did learn our lesson that we allowed that to happen too quickly. So the goal this time around is to do a few things, to not just have on and off, but have a progressive and phased approach, so that there are different categories that each county will fall into, as far as what we're categorizing the level of disease transmission that they're seeing, and then concordantly with that, what kinds of activities do we think are as safe as possible to allow in that sector. So again, having, instead of just either on the list or off the list, having 4 different categories was really the goal. And I think really trying to have something that was slow and stringent. And the color coding, we hope, will help people kind of think about, and I know we're seeing this and this similar with our bad air quality, unfortunately, across the state too, but it's very similar in that, purple is the worst, orange is next, red, excuse me, red is next, and then orange, and then yellow. And we do want to emphasize to everyone as well a few things. We want to gradually and safely do this in a very a deliberate way. And we know that flu season is just around the corner. In California, flu season can sometimes peak as early as December. Sometimes it doesn't peak till January, February, but it certainly can start any moment. And usually we start doing our active surveillance for it in the beginning of October. So we really want to do our best to continue the great progress we've made in California with decreasing cases, by, again, doing this slowly and carefully, seeing what happens after each phase. So some of these rules have to do with, you have to be in each phase for at least 3 weeks before you can move forward. And the idea behind that as the way this virus works, once you've been exposed, it can take anywhere from a few days up to 2 weeks before you actually develop symptoms and can become, or even if you don't develop symptoms, become infectious to others. So we want to see the impact of what we do as far as allowing new activities to occur after each phase, as opposed to just starting things, right after each other. We also wanted to make sure that different activities could be not just sort of open or closed, but that certain things could start in a slower way. So you'll see some things in the red category, for example, that might be gradually allowing things to be indoors, but only at 10% or 25% of the usual capacity to really allow for that physical distancing. And really knowing that, we need to be doing all of this face coverings and physical distancing and all of these safety precautions and site-specific guides for all these different sectors for the very long time. And that's actually why, people haven't been asking this, but we deliberately did not put a green color on this tiered framework, because we really don't feel we'll be in the green until after we do get through having a effective vaccine that the vast majority of the population has received. And we know that that is going to take us several months. Even if vaccine starts to be available in the next few months, it will be a smaller amount in the beginning and it will take time. So that's kind of a high level overview. I think some of the key rules again are that each county needs to be in a phase for 3 weeks at a time. And then the new framework is based just on case rates and percent positivity. And hopefully you'll have a chance, if you haven't already, to look at we have a lot of information on 2 different websites, covid19.ca.gov, and there's an interactive map. You can see your county. And then there's also a blueprint for safer economy on the CDPH site that is linked from the other site. And the way the data works, we pull data and we look back for the last couple of weeks, and we need to see that after a county has been in a certain phase, so say in the red phase for 3 weeks, we also need to see that if they're progressing so much that they would meet the criteria based on case rates and test positivity for the next phase for at least 2 weeks in a row. And again, the idea for that is that they're stably improving, and it's not just sort of with the data monitoring list, we were looking every day, and sometimes there was kind of a wobbling on and off. And so really trying to see over a week's time that it's a stable trend, and then a county could potentially move forward. We're also working actively on health equity metric as well, to be looking at that as a parameter, and that will become, that's something we'll unveil likely later this week. And then counties will have a few weeks before that has to be implemented, but that will also be a requirement before moving on to the next phase. And then I know, the biggest question everyone here has is, well, how does this impact schools? We, again, as Ben noted, we had our reopening framework in mid-July. And the equivalent on the new framework is that the purple tier, or the widespread tier 1, is essentially the same criteria based on case rates and percent positivity as the data monitoring list. So the same principles will apply, that once a county has been outside of that purple tier and in the red tier, and outside of that for at least 2 weeks, that is when schools can reopen. So that again is equivalent or similar to the prior framework, when the data monitoring list is basically becoming that tier 1. And then the waivers for K through 6 are still allowable to submit if counties are in that purple tier. If the case rates are in the prior equivalent, when we looked at a 14-day case rate, was 100 to 200 per 100,000 people in that county. And the translation to this new case rate is looking more at a cases per day, and it's over a 7-day average. So the 7 to 14 cases per 100,000 per day is the equivalent of what we had said before. So that's the parameters that schools can still apply for a waiver to the local health officer, who would then consult with us at CDPH. And then to quickly recap on the cohort guidance, I think I'll just say a few things, and I know there's some questions we can answer as well. And there were some updates just as of last week, because we had said that we do want to make sure that special needs children, children that really are being impacted even more from not having in-person instruction, that there's a very small number of those could come back to some in-person instruction. And we gave a lot of guidelines around stable cohorts, that we want them to be no more than 16 people total. Originally, we said it needed to be 14 students and 2 adults, but we know that led to some challenges for different situations and settings. So we have just updated that it's more flexible, that it needs to be no more than 16 total, including students and adults. And the idea again is that this needs to be a stable cohort. We don't want any mixing between these cohorts and having a much smaller group on campus. And this is for a subset of children that again have those special needs and is not a substitute for reopening schools based on all the other criteria I just mentioned. So I think those are some of the highlights from a high level, and then I know there's a lot of nitty gritty questions that might help illustrate more of the questions that all of you have. So I'll stop there.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Pan.